Hey guys, I'm Ted, here to give you another fast fact, and for today's fast fact, we'll discuss early voter reform. And now this voter reform occurred during the 1820s in reaction to the Panic of 1819. Now, the voter reform, this early reform, was a way to fix the collapse, the national collapse caused by the Panic of 1819. At this point, the right to vote was highly restricted. It was restricted on the basis of race, gender, and of course, property qualifications. The Panic of 1819 led to such popular outrage against legislatures because the legislatures had chartered the banks in the first place, and Congress in particular was really held accountable because it had chartered the worst bank of all, the monstrous second bank of the United States. Now, people began to clamor for expanded voting rights really for the first time on a national scale. They clamored for this. If we remember back to our lectures on the drift towards the Constitution, they clamored for this back in the 1780s, but the Constitutional Convention, the sort of coup d'etat, put an end to all of that and had ensured republicanism that is ruled by the betters for roughly 30 years. For roughly 30 years that held. Now though, things had fallen. The banking collapse had broken down that entire system. The people themselves wanted more of a say in what was going on. And in 1821, New York State abolished the last vestiges of its property qualification laws. At this point, any white male in New York State, any white male who held property, paid taxes, served in the militia, or worked on public works could vote in the state. It was an immense and very broad offering of freedom, offering of liberty. Never before had everybody had such to say. There had been republics before, but again, in these republics, the right to vote, political rights had always been withheld from the mass of the citizenry. At this point, political rights were being doled out to every white male. Only Virginia, North Carolina, Louisiana, and Rhode Island maintain any type of property qualification. Indeed, Rhode Island will be the last state to maintain property qualifications, holding on to them deep into the 1840s. And it's interesting with Rhode Island because all the other states, Louisiana, North Carolina, Virginia, they explicitly disenfranchised black men, free black men, and especially slaves, enslaved black men. But in Rhode Island, there was no distinction between black or white men being allowed to vote or being disenfranchised. As long as you have property, as long as you met the property qualifications in the New England states, you could vote. And so in Rhode Island, you had this sort of odd phenomenon of black men, wealthy free black men, or even just black men, free men who had enough property to qualify them to vote, being allowed to vote, but white men who didn't have the property qualifications not being allowed to vote. It's very unique. Very unique. Didn't happen in any other state after this point. But it's worth mentioning. Yeah, and so those four states retained them. But the other states didn't. The other states abolished them. And that simple act, the simple act of increasing, of granting no political right by granting voting rights to every white male, increased the voter eligibility to such a level that there was a across the board increase in voter participation, voter turnout at the local, state, and federal level. On average, 80% of the eligible voters from now on will be voting until the election of 1876, until the bargain of 1877. Over 80% of eligible voters will be turning out to vote to have their voices heard. And there you guys have it. That is my fast fact on the early voter reform. In the wake of the collapse of the Panic of 1819. I hope you guys found it enlightening, entertaining, maybe learned something new. As always, I'm Ted. Hit like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you thought about this fast fact video, and I'll see you guys next time for another fast fact.